Hey folks, this is Dylan with Headset Heroes. I get a lot of questions from coworkers, friends, and family about the more affordable options when it comes to wireless active noise canceling headphones. Many people just want to know what's good at less than $200. And so today I want to talk about the Sennheiser Accentum, which is a MSRP $179 active noise canceling headphone, sort of in the realm of the Momentum. But yeah, hitting that budget price segment. So before we get any further on this, I do just want to disclose that Best Buy did send this out in exchange for my review, but other than that, all thoughts and opinions are my own. The unboxing experience of the Accentum is pretty bare bones. Inside of it, you will find the headphone itself, as well as a USB Type-C to Type-A cable. There is no bag, there is no case. There's really just those two things and a little bit of documentation. The build materials is one of the weaker aspects of the Sennheiser Accentum. It's definitely going to be more prone to fingerprint oils and smudges, but I don't feel as though the plastic itself is the cheapest I've ever felt, but it definitely doesn't have the premium feeling of some other more expensive headphones. One thing you don't really see too often these days, I feel like, is the ability for the ear cups to rotate completely both directions. So you can actually wear this around your neck, either with the ear cups facing outward, like this, or with the ear cups facing inward. And for some people, that may just be a convenience thing, but I don't know, I sort of missed that on some of Sennheiser's other headphones. The headband adjustment uses a gliding friction mechanism rather than some sort of clicking, locking mechanism. But other than that, it does extend well beyond my needs. So it should, in theory, be able to fit more head sizes. For comfort, I would say the Accentum is okay, but not great. The pads are quite plush, but a good portion of this headband is just plastic. Only the top 50% area actually has any padding. Relatively plush, but also a little bit firm. So people who are really sensitive at the apex of their scalp, they may find that this will apply too much pressure over time. This is really not going to be great for people with larger ears, because it's really just a pretty small diameter. What you see is kind of what you get. And in addition to that, the clamping force of this headphone is also pretty strong out of the box. I really just didn't find that this was going to be something I would want to wear for like multiple hours at a time. The controls on the Accentum are also pretty straightforward. Everything is on the right ear cup, as you can see. You've got the USB Type-C input for charging. You've got the pairing button here, which also functions as the ANC and transparency toggle. Then you've got your playback controls for volume as well as pause and play. And if you hold that multifunction pause and play button, that will also give you your battery status, which will speak out to you through the voice prompting. Accentum does have a companion app, and within that app, I find that the most valuable features to me will be managing my connections, because I can have two devices connected at the same time, as well as the EQ. So there is a sound check feature. If you don't know how to EQ, it'll give you sort of an A/B comparison with your own music to help you figure out what kind of sound profile you would prefer. And it'll dial in that EQ for you. But if you want to do it yourself, it does have a 5-band EQ, which is not much, but at least it's something. That being said, I think that the stock sound profile is actually pretty good on the Accentum. It's definitely a more consumer-oriented sound compared to audiophile-oriented, but at the same time, that accentuated bass goes really far for pop music, hip-hop, R&B, and the mid-range is actually presented well for guitars or vocals. From my experience, I didn't find that it was too harsh, too sibilant. Maybe I would dial back a little bit of the treble, just maybe 1 or 2 decibels. But outside of that, I was able to have a pretty enjoyable experience across a wide variety of genres, including pop, metal, rock, synthwave, etc. Here's sort of a hot take, but I think that the Accentum sounds better than the Sony WH-1000 XM5. And part of the reason for that is that the XM5 had really bloated bass, bloated into the mid-range and really sucked out a lot of the vocals and mid-range. It made everything sound really strange, especially if you're coming from an audiophile's perspective. Now, for the active noise cancellation, I will say that this is one of the weaker aspects about the Accentum. I feel like it's more run-of-the-mill, it gets a job done, and one of the downsides of the ANC implementation here is that the noise floor happens to be also a bit higher. It's gonna have just a little bit of hiss there in the background, but when you're actually playing music, then you probably won't hear that hiss. Is it a big deal? I'm not sure that it is, but I would have liked to see a lower noise floor on the Accentum. With the transparency mode, you'll also find that there's a bit of hiss there, but as I put these on right now with the engaged, I can definitely hear just that little bit of noise floor, and I hear myself fairly clearly. I think that if you're listening to music at lower volumes and you just wanted to be aware of your immediate surroundings, I think that transparency mode can certainly do that for you. Now, the microphone quality of the Accentum is one of the weaker points. It sounds distant, firstly. So when you're on a call, it sounds like you're maybe a meter away from the microphone. It also picks up a lot of sound if it's background noise. It has no noise rejection really at all. So in my experience, you're gonna have to rely on whatever software implementations you may have through your phone or through your computer in order to kind of prevent background noise from getting in.
This is a test of the Sennheiser Accentum wireless microphone. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Here are some claps. Here are some snaps. Here are some typing noises.
One of the more impressive areas of the Accentum is actually its battery performance. So on the box, they claim 50 hours of battery. And I would say that this definitely lives up to that claim. Now, it'll be dependent on whether or not you're using active noise cancellation or transparency, but just in my mixed use testing, I was getting plenty of battery life. That's gonna be huge for a lot of people who just don't wanna have to charge all the time. So for 179 MSRP, who is the Sennheiser Accentum made for? Well, I think realistically speaking, it's gonna be best suited for people with smaller ears. It has a great sound profile overall, and it does have active noise cancellation and transparency, but the comfort was not quite to my taste. But I think that somebody who is less picky about comfort or has smaller ears and maybe doesn't mind the clamping force or the downward pressure from the headband, I think this could actually be a really solid pickup for some people. That being said, thank you so much for watching. And if you found it to be helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you drop a like on this video. And if you were looking for headphones in this sub $200 category, what did you find out there? Drop a comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this coming up, feel free to get subscribed. Thanks, and see you next time.